France adopted a new law banning Muslim women from wearing full-faced veils, and it is being met with fierce opposition. The law, which went into effect on Monday, declares that it is illegal to hide one's face in public. If someone is caught violating the law, they could face a fine of about 115 euros, which is approximately $215, or be forced to take lessons in French citizenship. And joining me now with reaction of the founder, president of the Alliance of Iranian Women, Manda Ervin, is with us, and the co-founder of Muslims for Progressive Values, Pamela Taylor. Pamela, as I understand, you support this, or you don't support this, I mean.
I think that the ban is problematical on a lot of different fronts, so I would give it limited support. I think they're legitimate public safety concerns, but we also have to worry about freedom of religion and violating freedom of religion.
But isn't this for a reason? And the reason being that as France and Belgium and Great Britain have tried to show tolerance, Sharia courts have emerged in many of these countries. And unfortunately, there's no assimilation. There's become a society within a society. And the idea that Sharia, which is often behind a lot of this, is imposed in separate courts, doesn't that create a conflict with a free society?
Well, I wouldn't support separate courts for Sharia. That's a legal system problem. That's not a problem with religious interpretation. How they would let themselves develop Sharia courts, I'm not quite sure. I mean, obviously, you've got a constitution, you've got to uphold that. You don't want to have a dual legal system.
Yeah, Manda,
but this
is
something different.
Manda, also, you come from a very interesting background because you were in Iran during the Iranian Revolution, and you saw up close and personal what happened. You want to explain that?
Yes, in 1979, all the rights that Iranian women, my mother, my grandmother, my great-grandmother had fought for 100 years against the clergy, Muslim clergies, to get human rights and equal rights. In 1979, they were all taken away from the women, and they are now under the second-class citizenship, the women of Iran, and that's why they are fighting. The hijab is not an issue of religion. It's the issue of patriarchal hierarchy in Islam that has total power over the women, 50% of the population. And that's the control that patriarchal hierarchy wants to keep over the women. Most of the Muslim women who have been emigrating to the West, I know deep down in their hearts, they want their husbands or their fathers to be forced by the Western laws to let them have choices. And if the day they gave them a choice, they will take the hijab off.
Pamela, this is the problem.
I don't think that's true.
Pamela, if we look at Sharia as applied, look at Saudi Arabia. They have a morality police. Women cannot be seen in public with somebody that they're not related to, a husband, a brother, etc. Women are not allowed to drive.
This is problematic.
Women in Iran under Sharia are beaten and stoned to death. So I think the fear is in a free society, and there's been cases in America where Muslim women don't want to take off their veil for a driver's license, for example. So isn't this really about Sharia?
I would not agree with that.
What?
I wouldn't agree with saying that someone doesn't have to be identified in public, right? When you have your driver's license, you need to have your face uncovered. If a police officer asks to see you, you need to be able to uncover your face for them.
What about the application of Sharia?
Right. Sharia is a very complex thing. It has personal law. It involves, how you pray, how you eat, and things like that.
How about the treatment of women, which is what I'm referring to?
Right. So when you get into the treatment of women, there's differences of opinion to begin with. And there's also, should be freedom of religion, right? This gets us right back to the whole burqa issue.
But women aren't free.
If you believe in freedom of religion, you should not be enforcing your interpretation, whether it's patriarchal or not patriarchal, whether, how strict it is or how relaxed it is.
That's what's happening.
That should not be forced on women.
But tell that to the women in Saudi Arabia and Iran and in other countries.
Absolutely, and they're fighting against that, as they should, right? I mean, I support secularism in Saudi Arabia and Iran just as I would in the U.S. and in France.
All right, we got to leave it there. Thank you both for being with us, and appreciate your time. Time to check in with Greta Van Susteren for